Alright, so you're still watching Midday Live. Thanks for staying with us. Time now for business with me, Nana Ikia Mensah Abrampa. This afternoon, we're discussing the policy rate and matters arising. Really, arguments coming up and also looking at its implications. Now, we have the Bank of Ghana increasing the policy rates by 100 basis points to 22%, and reasons given by Governor Dr. Henry Kofi Wampa had to do with inflation pressures as well as the cedi depreciation and challenges in the energy sector. We're taking the piece when we return. We'll look more into it.
It is not true that the banks don't lend. They lend. Credit to private sector went up by 36.4% year on year.
The increase in policy rates comes at a time where the central bank has come under severe pressure to reduce its lending rate following the country's high interest rate. Central Bank Governor Dr. Henry Wampa says due to fiscal consolidation, the amount of tightening of the policy rate was reduced.
The fiscal consolidation is good. So if there were no other pressures, ordinarily either we would stay put or even start going down if the other pressures were not there, like exchange rate pressures and so on. But because of those pressures existing, we had to go up. But in the absence of fiscal consolidation, the increase or the change could have been higher than what we have done.
The policy rate, which is the rate at which the central bank lends to commercial banks and is also used by banks to calculate their base rate, was at 21%. This is the highest rate since December 2003, when the rate was at 21.50%. Well, so obviously industry didn't expect this, hoping for a reduction of the policy rates, as well as some analysts also. And we have an investment analyst, Stephen Amwa, who has questioned the increase of the policy rate to 22% by the central bank. He says the increase will worsen the plight of Ghanaians, especially Ghanaian investors, and he joins us via phone this afternoon. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Amwa, and thanks for joining us on Midday Live.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Right. Now, tell us exactly what is the basis for your argument on the increase of the policy rate by the central bank.
Thank you. My regards to our viewers this afternoon. The fact is that every decision-making process has an objective. And the objective of the monetary policy, two main ones are low and stable inflationary rate, and then high employment. So let us ask the Bank of Ghana Monetary Policy Committee whether the decision they're taking today will actually let us realize the objective that we are talking about. Because in the first place, they are doing that to stabilize inflation, which I agree. But it's only when inflationary rate is actually induced by high demand on the market and high circulation of money as a result of people buying on the market. But this inflation rate that we are experiencing is as a result of supply constraint. You realize that almost all cost build-up, especially cost of production, is so high. So any attempt to increase any cost variable will also make sure that hardships that we are trying to run away from will rather be enhanced. So what the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana is doing now is rather a policy drift. Because let me tell you, it's rather going to deepen unemployment. It's rather going to increase inflationary rate because there will still be constraint in supply. So I really don't get what they want to really achieve. I think it's a major mistake that they are making, that they need to review and correct it.
Right, Stephen, I'm sure you would agree that the Bank of Ghana, the governor made it clear that the fiscal consolidation is good. But the issue has to do with inflation pressure, which he says they would steady and then reduce the policy rate. So where lies the argument now?
Your question is not that clear. But if they are doing that to actually restore fiscal policy discipline, let me be clear, this is not the time. Of course, we have about 3-year deficit. And then I'm sure one of the conditionalities of the IMF will ensure that we work on our deficit, which is actually have an adverse effect on our economy. I agree. But there are other areas that we need to do. Let me tell you, The year 2000, when inflation rate went to 18.1, monetary policy rate was around 12.1. So what are we saying about this? All that I'm saying is that now, because of the energy crisis, importation costs and other cost variables that are really having inimical or dysfunctional effect on our economy, it is not prudent to actually increase another cost. You know that Ghana, about 85% of investors borrow from the banks. So any attempt to increase cost of borrowing will also increase cost of production. And already we are having an economy which is really struggling.
Well,
so
Stephen, your point is noted. Hello, Stephen.
It is a strategic risk. Trust me, it's rather going to enhance our problem. It's not going to give us the results that we are supposed to get as the monetary policy goals or objectives. Because let me tell you, definitely it will affect our growth. It will affect employment because prices of goods and services are going to go up. Price of production is going to go up. They are going to transfer onto the final consumer. Already people are not buying. So what are we doing? So I think they should look at it. Practically what they are doing, in my opinion, it is wrong.
Well, thank you so much. That is all time. Will allow me with you, Stephen Amwa, an investment analyst who has questioned the increase of the policy rate by the Bank of Ghana to 22%, saying it would further worsen the plight of Ghanaians, especially the investor community. Well, we're still sticking to the Bank of Ghana, which is set to meet with commercial banks to discuss a possible maintenance or reduction of their lending rates following an increase in the policy rate. The governor, Dr. Henry Wampa, said the government, or with government strategies to minimize deficits, sustain macroeconomic stability, will see lending rates come down. Industry players and businesses fear the latest hike will lead to an increase in interest rates, which hover around 35% on the average. But Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Henry Kofi Wampa, believes dialogue with the banks will ease some pressure of borrowers.
So we continuously talk with them and find ways, at least their charges. Their charges are areas that they can really look at. Tomorrow, I have a meeting with the banks. I'll raise this issue again. We'll discuss it and see how best we move forward on this.
Anthony Opon is the Chief Executive Officer of the Chartered Institute of Bankers. He joins us on the line this afternoon. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon.
Now, I'm sure you heard exactly what the governor said. Let me ask you, is it prudent for the Bank of Ghana, first of all, to increase the policy rate, considering issues that have been raised regarding lending rates on the commercial banks?
Yeah. Can you take the last question again?
I'm saying that is it prudent for the Bank of Ghana to increase the policy rate, looking at issues or pressures that have come up, looking at lending rates of the various commercial banks?
Well, being prudent, no, it is not. It is not prudent for the central bank to have increased the policy rate because of what you have just said. I mean, already in this country, we have very high interest rates charged by banks for people who borrow from the banks. People are even complaining that the borrowing rate must come down, and so anything that will trigger the borrowing rate going up will obviously not be a welcome news. Once the policy rate has gone up by 1%, obviously it is likely that all the commercial banks are going to adjust their base rate upwards.
Right. Now coming to that particular point you just mentioned, Mr. Opon, you're saying that the banks are likely to increase their lending rates.
Yes,
but the governor of the Bank of Ghana,
the policy rate has gone up, they also are likely to review their lending rates upwards.
Point noted. But the governor would be meeting the commercial banks today to discuss a possible reduction or perhaps maintaining their current rate. Do you see this feasible? Will there be a consensus with this?
You see, when you talk about interest rates, it's just like, it's a demand and supply sort of thing. Why should the governor go and talk to the the banks to reduce their rates? If the rates are coming down, obviously the banks will come down with their rates. There's no point of anybody personally or physically going to intervene. It's a demand and supply sort of situation for us, right? So if the governor says that he's going to ask them to reduce, it means that he knows that from what is going on, naturally the rates will not come down themselves. And that is why it's going to, it's like...
So you believe that there wouldn't be any results if the governor meets the commercial banks on their lending rates?
Yeah, you can meet them, you can talk to them to come down, but all I'm saying is that the most effective way for the banks to come down naturally without any intervention is when the policy rate is also coming down itself. When the policy rate is coming down naturally, then they also come down. But now that he's putting up the policy rate, obviously they may also want to. Well, I don't know whether the banks would accept to come down because the governor has intervened. That one we need to wait to see.
All right,
but
we'll leave it here.
Once he has put it up, naturally the banks will also follow up that way.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. Anthony Opon is the Chief Executive Officer of the Chartered Institute of Bankers. Well, the governor will be meeting the commercial banks, but question is, will they increase, reduce or maintain? We look to see. That will do for business. Good afternoon.